Oh, I do it all the time.
So during the summer, we send a bunch of kids to a Royal Catholic Kids Camp. And it's very hard to pronounce the name University of the South District. And I do this. But what we do is we ask the kids, what do you like to be called? Right? And we'll go with that. Jeremy goes way over. That's why he's out of town for that. All right, everybody online, can you hear me? Try and give me a thumbs up. Awesome. I'm going to take that as a yes. We'll go ahead and start the Stand Down on Delta 2023 planning meeting for February. Everybody doing all right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, well, let's go ahead and start the meeting off with a prayer that we can stand up.
I'd be glad to. Our most eternal, gracious Father in heaven, as we gather here this night in preparation for the upcoming stand down, Father, we'd like to thank Thee for this opportunity we have to make plans to serve those that have served our country. Father, we're grateful for those. Father, we're grateful for Thy watchful guidance in this land that we live in. Grateful for the Constitution that we have. We're grateful for the leaders that try so hard to provide things for our people. Father, we're grateful for those, JR, and Pat, and Dale Riddle, and others that spend so much time preparing for this stand down and have the foresight to plan for this. Bless them and bless their families, that they might continue with this work. Father, bless us always in our efforts, the things that we do to help to take care of those that have served, as we take care of our families, and just to take care of others around us. Bless us in our efforts, Father, that we might be more Christ-like in the things that we do. And we say these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. All right, if we can, if we pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States, the fire military, we salute all those pushing over the heart.
Is Brian Wilner, you're online? Brian's all the way from South Carolina. Across the country, right? He's gonna fly out and he becomes a tent leader, and we love that. But again, get back to the veterans serve their country, veterans serve their community. We want to give them that foundation of housing, education, health, and employment, better known as the HEAT concept. Health, education, housing, and employment. Those four firm pillars can give them the foundation that they need to be able to, again, have that identity of service and get that into their life. So for 2023, at the stand down, we are going to be pushing that. We're also going to be showing it. On Saturday, we open up all of our services to anybody and everybody. You do not have to be a veteran to get services on Saturday. Does that mean that non-veterans get to go to the VA? No, of course not, because the VA only serves veterans, but we want to have other medical services there, the Athletica, Kaiser, Southern Delta, John Muir, Contra Costa County Health Services. So we can service those people as well that are in our community. Veterans community is unique in itself that we are made up from all kinds of walks of life. You know, that's the neat thing about the veterans community. And that also means that we get to reflect that out in our community, serve every part of our community. There is not a neighborhood that we should not be serving because we have veterans in that neighborhood, right? So we want to raise them up so they can be a leader in their own community as well. Give them that identity and make them make a connection to community. Instead of them sheltering in their house, we want to be able to brighten their life and brighten their community. And so then they come back to stand down on the Delta 2025 as a volunteer or as a coordinator. Now we have David Boatwright, who is one of our coordinators as well. And that's where I met him. I was his tent leader at East Bay Stand Down. So you're going to find diamonds in the rough. And when you find them, you want to lift them just a little bit higher so they can get it. If you ever been, rock climbing, or you get that last little bit where you're kind of tired and just got 2 more inches and you find that strength. So let's be that strength for that veteran. Okay?
JR, move the speaker closer to you. It's hidden behind the, oh, okay.
Is that better? Is that better? All right. So together, we have about 70 different organizations that come together for stand down on the Delta. So it doesn't sound like it's just DBG, does it? It sounds like it's community, because it takes everyone in our community to be able to pull this off. And just like in a family, in a community, not everybody always gets along, right? Because we're humans and we live in the greatest country in the world. So people get to have different beliefs and different philosophies and everything. And one of the cool things that I liked about growing up in East Contra Costa County was that growing up in Pittsburgh, we didn't care. I'm a little white kid. We didn't care what color we were. We all played together. We did. Somebody's mom or dad maybe voted for somebody. Maybe they voted for Carter. Or maybe my parents voted for Reagan. Guess what? We didn't care. We didn't care. We didn't care because we were a community. So when I think of a community, I think of my childhood. I think of what I was raised in, how I was brought up. Speak up. All right. So I think of when I was a kid and how I was raised. And my parents did not raise me to look at people with different beliefs and different colors and different things and say, I can't be your friend because you believe in that or this or whatever. No. We all played together on the playground. Now, honestly, I liked going to school in Pittsburgh more than Antioch just because the food was better. All right? Because there was a little bit more culture in Pittsburgh. But it's that what I look at. I look at growing up, and that's how I direct, is I want to be able to have those feelings in our communities. And when we have different organizations or different people in our communities that maybe they don't get along or whatever, or this or that, or have different beliefs and different things like that, that is a poison in our community. You may think that you're right and the other person is wrong. That's okay. Have those feelings. But when we come together as a community and we leave all that at the door. Because the main thing is we take ourselves out of the equation. Right? Look, some people don't like the fact that we have legal services and veterans get to go to court and they get child support services. Wait, I'm one of them. I was like, my God, I have kids. I'm a dad. What are you talking about, right? And I could have let that anger build up and then we don't have court. I don't want them to be able to do that. But would that be providing a service to that veteran? No, it would be me interjecting myself into the scenario and causing services to leave. So we all get along. We are all a family. I don't care where you grew up. I don't care if you have different issues with your religion or whatever. Okay? People use social media for different things. But when you are here, when you are part of our Stand Down the Delta family, we are one family because that's what we project and that's what we want our veterans to understand. That we are not going to put you in a box and judge you, criticize you, whatever. If they see bickering, then they know that there's criticism going on because that's what it is. If it's bickering, you're criticizing each other. Right? And we do not want that. We do not want that vibe. We do not want that feel. So one of the great things about the veterans community and Stand Down the Delta is we all get along. It's a kumbaya kind of a moment, right? We don't care if veterans are getting free. Don't think of it that way. Think of it as they are our brothers and our sisters, and we are part of the community, and we are uplifting them in the purpose of they can then join us. I love having Velma by my side. I like having Patty on my side. I like having Mary Shagufa. I love all of you. But we have to come together as a family and work together to solve those problems because they are big problems. The Bay Area, economy, housing, whatever. You could have different beliefs and rent controls or whatever. But us bickering and arguing does not solve the problem. We need our veterans to get there to that event and relax. The sooner we get them to relax, the sooner they become acceptable to the services they receive. Then the chaplains are walking around, and then we get that kumbaya moment. The bonfire happens, and then everybody's brothers and sisters at the bonfire. That's the goal. Friday is to get to the bonfire, have everybody kumbaya, everybody together. Saturday kicks off. They're getting their dental, everything, boom, 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 boom. There is going to be veterans that get there that don't want to eat because anxiety causes all kinds of reactions in your body. So we as a group and a coordinator, we have to think of all of that stuff and produce an environment and a community that is conducive to that. So get them to relax. Some of them are going to shove drugs down their throats before they get there. Right? Am I wrong?
Right. Oh, yeah.
No, they do, because it's a sober environment. We do not, and I'm strict about it. We do not allow drugs or alcohol at the event. So if I smell alcohol on their breath, that's like they're gone. They're gone, and I have to be that way. Now we do it in an understanding way because we bring the chaplains and we bring things like that, and we bring AA, NA, we bring the medical services together to provide them. But I'm also there fighting for Velma sobriety, for other people in the tent sobriety that are fighting their own urges to drink. And if they smell it on there, then that's going to trigger them. And then we have an issue in the tent. So yes, it is some tough love, but they get that warning multiple times. Multiple times. It's in the registration packet. It's before they get on the bus. It's while they're on the bus. It's when they get off the bus. It's when they get their safety briefing before they do the check-in. It's when they meet their tent leader. And I am very strict on that. Yes, ma'am.
So how is it enforced beyond yourself during the event?
They get.
So if I smell some alcohol on someone's breath, I contact you or?
Yeah, the first line of defense really is going to be the chaplain, or if you see one of the leadership around, to identify that, because then we're gonna identify security, we're gonna bring the chaplains in, we're gonna explain to them what the rules are and explain to them what they're not. Because they've been warned. And they have struggles, we understand that they have struggles, we all have struggles, we get it. But I also have to think of the struggles that this person is also having in that tent, right? And I can tell you, tough love works. 2015, we had a veteran, right? Mr. Goodfellow, Goodfellow, wonderful, wonderful person. However, 2015, he was going through a transition with gender identification and different things that had all kinds of things going on. And they brought up their partner with them. They wanted to stay in the same tent. Obviously, we're not going, it's not a bungalow, right? Many, many issues. Then they threw the fishing pole in the water. They're fishing, right?
Yeah, I remember that.
So I let them stay at the pier. I went back to the fairgrounds, got security, packed their stuff up, and had it outside the gate. So when they got off the bus from fishing, they were handed their stuff. And that may seem harsh, hard, whatever. But you know what the veteran did? Use that to trigger their response into therapy. They got the treatment that they needed, started participating in the North Bay stand down, the East Bay stand down, came to our stand down, was the photographer, you know, all of that. So it's their journey that we put them on their whole journey. And sometimes that means tough love because they're not ready. Not everybody that goes to stand down is going to be ready for stand down. And so either they pop all their drugs down or they try to drink and try to, you know, do it that way. No, that's not the answer. The answer is for them to get into treatment, and our best way to try to get them into treatment is to be able to make that happen. Right? So we're being recognized. So tent leaders, if they're not eating different things, that's the reason why we have the lanyards, that they can click their meals. So if we're walking around and we see that they have not eaten, then we got an issue, right? They're going to be speaking with Bill. Bill's a Marine. He's got ways to make them eat. Absolutely. After they go through dental, this is a lesson we learned in 2017. After they go through dental, they can't eat hard food. Right? So we had to make tons of
Baby food, come on.
yeah. We had to be Gumby. Right? That is another term that we use in stand down quite a bit. You have to be Gumby. I know you're not old enough to know who Gumby is.
Oh, yeah.
Pokey.
Got a question.
Mr.
I have
Bill,
a
Mr.
friend that works with the homeless community with Stockton.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there's veterans out there. How will be able to access them for certain?
When they're outside of the 3 counties, that being Contra Costa County, Alameda County, and San Francisco, because we have 9 different locations. Other counties, they have to provide their own transportation. So if they work with the vet center, for example, vet center in Stockton, sometimes they bring veterans out their own van. So if they can coordinate that, San Jose is the same way. We get veterans from San Jose, but they bus them in, right?
Airports that know it's pet friendly?
I'm sorry?
Airports that know it's pet friendly?
Yes, it's on everything that we have. Everything that we have. We also have a trifold that's for participants that goes out to the registration sites that says what all the do's and don'ts are. For example, they can't bring a knife. I know, right? Why can't they bring a knife? Because they might stab somebody, right? Or they can't bring their laptop, right? If they bring a laptop to stand down,
They'll steal it.
well, they don't get to bring it in the encampment. Remember, we put all of their belongings in a box, tape it up, zip it up, write their names on it, store it for them until, can somebody let that person in, please? Until they're ready to leave, and then they get it back. Because if they take a laptop in there, it's going to get stolen. Or it's gonna be reported stolen. And you kind of read between the lines, because that happens too. You know, if we don't physically tell them, no laptops, no laptops, no laptops, then 10 people brought a laptop that all got stolen, and who's to know if they really, who's to know, right? So we have to also, that kind of sort of goes into this too as well. The participants are at a different area in their life. Okay? So in 2015, they stole all of our fire extinguishers, and we're like, why would you steal fire extinguishers? Right? If somebody could let the other person in too, that'd be great. I'm sorry. Because they're in a different place, right? So they may hoard, they may do different things because they're in a different place than we are. It doesn't make them necessarily a bad person. It just means that that's where they are at that time, and we need to realize that and then give them the tools to change that, right? Sandra Wright with mental health. They may have something that's just blocking their ability to get past something. And through mental health, what that might just lower down. Like when you're in the car and you're going down the road, you're a kid, you lower down the window and the wind, you roll back up, the window stops, right? So it may just be something that just needs one more crank on the window to get that into them. And that's what it is. It's exactly what. So I'm going to go around the room real quick. We did figure out the breakout room, so we'll have that. What we also figured out is very expensive. Each room is very expensive. So for the next one, Mary Moore has graciously, and the county has graciously let us, we'll make Mary the host, and then she could, they have breakout rooms. I'll bring that. Yes, yes. And, but the sound equipment, we did make a change. I think that is better. People online, I think you could hear us a little bit better. The last time we had one speaker and we were just passing it around the room. Yeah, so this is a little bit better. Setup for stand down is going to start on September 4th. And then September 5th is when we'll load in a lot of stuff. But it starts on September 4th. And then we have to be out of the fairgrounds by September 15th. If we are not out of the fairgrounds, then everybody has to live there for a year. And I don't think we really like that.
Free rent, that's not bad.
Oh, no, we didn't say nothing about free rent. But we're going to go ahead and go around the room a little bit, and then we'll go on to the people online. And then we'll squeeze Brian a little bit. Brian Wilmer on there. Great guy. Hey, Brian, are you still on there? Shake your head if you can hear me. Anyway, Brian is going to go for the National Line for the Disabled American Veterans in August. We're excited. So we'll go ahead. Thelma, go ahead. Just introduce yourself and what part of stand up.
I'm Thelma Wilson. I am very much a community involved. I enjoy youth. I love all things youth related. I'm a director in Delta Veterans Group. For Stand Down, I am activities and part of the opening ceremony crew. I have been doing this work for a very long time. My mom is a veteran. My twin sister is a veteran. My son is a veteran. And I have a family full of veterans. I just love doing this work for our veterans community. I didn't have the pleasure of serving in the armed services. I was in ROTC in high school. I hated it, but I really do love community, and and I want to just really I'll piggyback off of one of the things that my brother said, that this is all about community and everything that we can do to serve the community, so much bigger than ourselves and our differences and everything. Because these men and women have served our country with no reward. And so for that, I just thank all of the men and women that have served in the armed services here that are still pouring back into the community. Thank you so much for just continuing your heart of service. I think that speaks volumes more than anything that we can ever think or do or ask. So, I'm down with it.
Go ahead.
Me?
Oh, sir.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Jim Marchetti. You may have met me over the years. JR and I go back to at least 2011, maybe 2010. I don't remember. I was on the board for a brief moment. Anyway, I came down unassigned. So I'm at your mercy for whatever you guys need help with. I just want to. You know, the catch fish? Yeah, but they're real slippery. They would, I need a really big baseball.
You're perfect.
Yeah.
You are very good with IT and different things like that. Is that
I'm very good with IT. I'm also just, if you've ever heard of East County Veterans Resource Center, which is no more, that last building on Second and Elm Street.
Oh,
Not because of me, but I did run that place for 5 years. I did run it in the ground.
you didn't do that.
That was not me at all.
Totally different person.
And actually, Veterans Rotary is a spin-off of that. That was always my vision, to have a small local unaffiliated. Anyway, I just want to get back to the ball. Serving. Oh, I was the name of you. That's it. Sorry. Yeah. But serving our veteran community and the family.
And you drive around a race car.
I drive around the race car. It's right out there across the street.
Yes. That's awesome. Bill.
Bill Weigel, member of PBG, has been since the 2015 campaign. Also part of the Lions Folks International. District governor for Alameda County for a couple times. And now I'm the chief financial officer. California.
We asked you for the donation.
So I asked for donations. I kind of took over the kitchen in 17 and haven't left yet. So the last camp down in 19, we did 6,700 meals 5 days. Right. So every meal was covered by a volunteer group that pays money to be involved, and then they bring the volunteers to serve. And we cook.
And why did you cook versus them cook?
Well, because of the health department and health department rules, I have a set group that cooks in the system, so we can all be better with that. Let the volunteers come out from the organization that donates, and they get to be the front line, and they get to see everybody there, and we get to raise their families and say, we don't want to have any problems with different people sick.
Yeah. And we have a lot of different participants with a lot of different needs, and so we have to try to keep that under control.
Saturday lunch is going to be interesting this year, because we're going to serve everybody that comes, including our group and the public when they come. There's going to be no charge for that. So I'm looking for another group to help sponsor that part of it. We'll probably set up 2 serving lines, one inside like we normally do, and then we'll have one outside, kind of a picnic area. We've always traditionally on Saturday at lunch had hamburgers and hot dogs, so kind of a picnic thing. That's where I'll go.
Yes. We are super excited about that. And the way that we got Bill was because in 2015, I was waking up at like 4 o'clock in the morning, going down to the grocery store and buying eggs and orange juice, not really knowing what I was doing at all. And Bill graciously said, "Young man."
I had to pay for it, so it made me try to set up tents.
Yes, that was. Yes, he started off setting up tents. Then I realized, oh, we got a winner, and he's taking over that one. Jim,
Yeah,
Yes. Fishing.
Jim
Yeah,
Etherington, I met JR Thursday before the Saturday 2015 stand down, and he asked me to put together a fishing event for 20 veterans and do that in 2 days. And our son was getting married that weekend. So I said, sure.
Don't be afraid to ask.
Don't be afraid to ask. So I got hooked on fishing already and started with the stand down and been doing it ever since. Looking forward to doing another. We're going to do 40 veterans this year.
In the East Bay Regional Parks, and a backpack, fishing pole, with all kinds of things. Jim in 2019 brought fishing, on-site fishing. A lot of logistics. But it was
It
a
was pretty
wonderful
fun,
experience.
relaxing.
It was a very nice
We had a
experience.
doughboy swim, above ground swimming pool, and we put 1,500 trout in. So, and Bill helped me, we got the swimming pools donated. So Bill got in his truck, we went up, picked it up, brought it back, set it all up. And there was a veteran that actually owned a fish hatchery farm. So we made a deal with him to bring the trout in. His trout don't normally do well in hot weather. So we have a chilled pool. And the trout were
How'd you
great.
get the chiller?
And we got a $6,000 chiller donated to us when the company that was over in Benicia that represented the manufacturer heard about us. And I invited him and wife to come over. The day before the event opened, and they were fishing and catching trout. They were having a little fun.
They brought it all the way from Southern
Yeah,
California.
they had it shipped up here from Southern California and kept the fish chilled for the week that it was up and running.
I believe they quoted you 6,000, and then they came back to 4,500, and then the owner called you back and
Yeah.
said, "No, it's free."
Yeah,
We want to
so,
do it.
yeah, that was a fun year.
That was very
That was a lifesaver because I got to tell you, Jim spent weeks trying to figure out how to circulate the water, keep it cold, and I thought we were going to supply millions of gallons.
mad scientist. We're going to turn a wine chiller into it, right? We're going to convert a wine chiller.
Yeah, actually, I did do that. Use dry ice and pump the water. So it worked pretty good.
I'm mad
To do
scientist.
that for a week, there was a little money, so that's how we ended up getting the chiller.
All right, Art?
Yeah, my name's Art Coniger, Navy, historically tent leader, but with 2 needs that are pretty much on, gonna do recovery this year, AA and NA. Coming out in myself, so I'm ready to go.
Awesome, awesome. Applesauce and Darlene and Tony gonna do the entertainment. Very good, very good, very good.
Now, my name is Tony Archimedes, and, via Darlene, well, she introduced me to the stand down. I was playing with the band, and then up at Dixon, and she was doing the entertainment there, and I was just astounded at the way she, was able to put so many musicians together and have everything under control. It was really great. So I basically been the stage manager. I guess it's been over 10 years now. And then when Antioch came along, which was killer, when it was a whole different animal, I've been able to put like over 100 musicians together, and I keep them sort of going, one after another. And I'm very proud to be a part of this. And I mean, it's probably the coolest thing that I've ever done. I really, really dig it.
Thank you, Tony. There's more.
So I'm Mary Moore, and I sat down and worked for a program for all homeless persons across the county. I am the housing program, each staff is the acronym, social worker, and how this is going to fit veterans. My commitment into advocacy and about the SSI. Nice. In that time that they're pending on GA, you're one year. I'm able to house you. Then when you get funded on SSI or SSDI, whatever the monetization program, 100% 75, 50, 25. Funding, granted, but funded. And they're on their own. So that's the program.
Bam. And Mary,
Here.
yes, yes, yes.
No more veterans on my case. I only have one right now.
I remember when we were starting some of the planning for 2015, and I met Mary and running around all over the place with my head cut off. And I knew Mary Moore kept on, she would attend these different veterans events in Brentwood, and the VFW out there, and doing in-housing care or something like that. Went out to the One Creek or something like that.
You told me in the 2014 Tuesday.
Yes.
As a temporary.
Yes. And, oh, that's when we had our big, long conversation.
Yeah, another body
It was
on
very
the
good.
bleachers.
Good. On the features. We had our moment on the features.
Yeah.
We'll keep that to ourselves. But no, it's been an absolute joy. And that's part of what I mean by our family, right? And everybody is part of our family. We should do that, right?
Hi, everyone. My name is Sharifa. I'm born and raised here in Antioch. Went to UC Berkeley, graduated just a couple months before. Back to Antioch because this is my hometown. And I want to help create positive changes. Just as JR, Donna, and here are mentioning, to build communities to work with everyone, despite your differences. And so for me, I'm very new to this type of work, especially with veterans. And so I'm here to learn, spread awareness, and I'm here as the social media coordinator. So I definitely want to not only encourage people to get involved, but hopefully bring young people to be more involved with veterans. And hopefully bring more young people to really stand out and to really get engaged with this community, because you guys help serve our country and serve our communities, and now our time to help, you guys, so that's why I'm here. I'm looking forward to working with you all.
His wife. Good evening, my name is Sandra White. Mental health coordinator for Stand Down. My professional background is in mental health. I consider myself a builder. So throughout my career working with individuals, it's very important that for me, that people are, working just getting to a place where they are mentally healthy, physically healthy. And so that's something I consider myself to be that door or gateway when I work with individuals. My introduction to Stand Down was through volunteering with the Antioch Rotary Club. And from that point, moving forward, JR contacted me a couple of years ago and asked me to be a coordinator. And I look forward to the work that we're going to do this year with our veterans.
Very afraid of
Am I up next?
I'm new at this, so this is my first.
No,
time.
not yet.
No. No, Jack, go ahead.
Oh,
We're very happy to have you.
okay, thank you. Jerry Freitas. And again, I'm new at this, and I look forward to being able to help wherever I can.
You were in the Army? Did you see you were in the Army? Best question in the world. All right.
My name is Rufus. I'm one of the state captains you need me, if you need me to work, and by the way, Bill makes working in the kitchen, and cooking, he makes it look really easy. But they coordinates everything, and yeah, he makes it look really easy. I mean, I know it's not hard enough. But, I've been to I don't know how many staff now, I don't record, but, a few. And the reason why this means so much to me, my father was in the 82nd Airborne out of Fort Benning, Georgia. And he didn't start using his benefits until the mid-60s. Why? Because they give him so much, you have to go through so much red tape in order to use benefits that he earned. So when we have things like this, to help our nation best, you know, they want to give what they get for everybody. I think they deserve dignity, respect, and service.
You know, when I fall in love with Ruben is very easy to fall in love with. He's just love with you. Because, and he gives himself freely to the community without a doubt. I mean, he'll stop, he sees somebody, he'll stop and give them groceries. Or he'll give them the last shirt on, and he will. He'll take the shirt off of him and give it to somebody. That's who he is. But he called me up and he said, hey, I want to volunteer at stand down, but I want to volunteer in the kitchen, but I want to volunteer washing dishes. Right? Who does that? Not me. I was the kid trying to, it's my twin sister's job to wash dishes. But Ruben, he volunteers freely without hesitation, and that's the kind of love it takes. And then my sister from another, I have no sister.
Diane Ferguson, and I met JR in 2015. I was the Veteran Service Coordinator at LMC, and I invited JR to attend our Vietnam Veterans Memorial, and he sat at the table there and then recruited me for the 2017 pandemic, and then secretary after that. So
Administrative expert.
oh yeah, okay. And I'm an Air Force vet. My kids are military brats. I was married to the military for 20 years. So giving back, but being part of a veteran community has always been part of my life since I was 18. So that's why
And the reason why I call her my sister. But as we get older, we get to pick our family members, right? We're born whatever they gave us, and then we get older and we get to pick who our sisters are and who our brothers are, and so I'm very happy to call this. And she's my dinner date. Whenever we have a dinner function, she's my dinner date.
I really like it. I have to say that some of the opportunities, as well as volunteering and giving back to the community, I have done 2 or 3 videos. I got to ride in Hummer and get a catered dinner.
A stretch Hummer.
A stretch Hummer at catered dinner by a renowned San Francisco chef. We got to meet Martha Stewart.
Does Reddit,
Martha
Reddit,
who is a war correspondent and on CNN. So some of these opportunities have been just something that I would never in a million years think that could happen. We rode in the elevator with John Travolta's brother. Yes. And JR made sure everybody knew it.
Yes.
That's Joey Travolta. It's Joey Travolta.
And he knows.
And I do it because
Thank you, Darlene.
he made a video for Music Kills with Darlene. And so those are kind of opportunities that come around. We have a video on KTV. I don't know. It's just been
Channel 2
exciting and wonderful to be part of this organization.
Wow, hard to follow that up. So my name is Lori Pino.
here. I'm pleased to meet everyone. I'm a Navy Air Force military brat and Army vet and co-coordinator for wellness. Hi, and I'm Stephanie Helberg, and I went to a chamber mixer and ended up meeting JR, and I've been a registrar, and I've been an ambassador, and I've been holding my own tent with drum circles and helping with meditation. And now I'm co-coordinator for wellness. And I can't tell you how many years I've been involved with this, but being in a veteran situation is really critical for me because that isn't me. Because I live with 100% disabled veterans and getting that, going through that process, and I know how important it is to help our veterans get all the benefits that are required for their needs. And so to be a part of this is very important to me. Thank you.
And it was absolutely awesome to meet you because I got to meet your husband, Paul, as well, who is a veteran. And I tell you what, man, Stephanie, and she's only 32 years old now, but she will be working and having the same passion when she's 152 years old. Because she's not going to die. She's like, no, hell no, that's not going to happen. Right? So she lives to be 152 years old. And she will have that same passion and that same smile. And she's traveled all over the world.
Yep.
You know, so when you do a drum circle, it's like, that's the real deal. You know, I know.
Consider to talk about when she goes to India. She has some awesome stories.
India, Peru,
You know,
Turkey.
don't look at her directly into the eyeball. You will start levitating and start going crazy. She has the power. No.
You all have the power. It's not something that's unique.
Isn't that neat though? Because we do. We all have the power. She helps bring that power up. Sometimes if we have an ember and we blow on the ember, thank you for letting our embers burst into flames. All right. Paul is a, I don't know, he's an Air Force veteran, served in Vietnam, and he sort of is one of our heroes.
And he works as an ambassador
He's an ambassador.
and cart driver,
He does everything.
whatever they're telling to do.
I saw him. He does everything. He does everything. All right, sorry.
I'm Darth Vader, was raised by Army girlfriend. And I grew up under some, but I didn't realize when I started working for the VA what PTSD was. I didn't know. But they are the cool stuff out of all of us. I listen to all the stories. So proud to be here with everybody.
Miss Darlin was the entertainment director for East Bay Stand Down, North Bay Stand Down. So as I'm going around, I'm learning how to stand down, and then who do I get to see? Pretty Lady Darlin. I'm like, oh my gosh, I gotta put my charm on. Charmer. And luckily I was able to charm. At least I hope I charmed. And then my favorite mayor.
So I met JR in 2014. I got elected to the Oakley City Council, and he came to me and says, "We need veterans parking signs in Oakley." I was like, "All right," but I listened to JR, and I got involved with the very first stand down, and I've been with it ever since. But because of JR, I went to my brothers and sisters, and I said, Dad served in the Navy, and I'm on the council. I think Oakley needs some flags, so we donated 5 service flags. I couldn't get anybody else in Oakley to give us some service flags, so we still need the Coast Guard and the Missing in Action.
Oh my gosh, I'm totally gonna take care of that.
And otherwise, we have all the rest of the flags, and the veterans of Oakley did a ceremony. It was beautiful. But it was because of JR and his inspiration that I wanted to honor my dad and his service in the Navy and keep hanging out here with the vets.
Thank you, but I will tell you this, your dad served with that in your head, he made the obligation and committed to the country and served and raised an awesome daughter. And already in your heart. It was already in your heart. So again, it's like the inverse. Sometimes you just need to really win. You got the heat and the energy already. And if you haven't had a selfie with Sue and the wife, you gotta do it. You're not famous until you get that selfie.
There you go.
Is that right? Is that right? All right, Bill.
Bill Swenson, I'm retired Army reservist. It's probably a little over 4 years, a little less. I help coordinate with the chaplains. I've been with them now since 2015. I also do the and JR makes it sound like I do a lot. I really don't. We got good sisters, Priscilla Martinez, who right now is starting a new chaplain's course, training 9 new chaplains. It's going to come and serve as a stand down. I just call Priscilla up and say, hey, stand downs on these days. Chaplains will be there. He's paid chaplains. So he does a lot. And I probably ought to let Debbie introduce herself. One picture just to give her name. When it comes, okay, and go ahead. Because when it comes to hygiene kits, you know, JR says, Bill, can you do hygiene kits? I call Debbie and say, Debbie, can you do hygiene kits? And she calls me in a couple of months and says, Bill, can you come get these hygiene kits out of my garage?
And then I go, Bill, thank you so much. You're so awesome.
JR said, good job, Bill. But it's Debbie that puts all that together.
Lots of people put it together, but I have to say, years ago, I have one that especially 31, and always goes with everything that is military. I come from line of family. And I have a son that finished up his stint with the Army. And veteran. But anyway, years ago, we were at one of those events, and I can't remember which one it was, probably tomorrow, stood up and said, "You want to start a stand?" And I went immediately to I knew it our church. And so, you know, definitely want to give to the community. But anyway, I worked with Bill, we hopefully hygiene kits for many stand downs. And Bill invited me to come to it. Yeah, I'm telling you, I want to see more. I've actually helped in a stand down. I've been there with the hygiene kits. But I just represent a lot of women in Brentwood, Oakley, Antioch, Pittsburgh, Celebrate the Neighbors, and I'm the president of the women's organization. And it's everybody coming together, putting the kids together, donating supplies, fishing to them. And we have some more money that we can. I think it's almost to try to get it there, but anyway, I love the stadium. I love it. And so I'm glad to be here to see this.
Awesome. So she also works with an interfaith women's group to help with that.
Yes, for the first couple of years, it was with the interfaith group, and then this year we have the grant. And the interfaith group is, and anybody. Probably about seven projects that will rotate between, but one of them is the hygiene. The fourth of the hygiene. And I can get you the aspect.
It's fun to do too. I've done one time. Yeah, you just go from different station to station and you're building the packet and you go around and you know, it's neat too because when I go out, I'm talking to different groups and we talk about different parts of the stand, we talk about hygiene. And I want to, right? And it's ladies and groups like that. And ladies go into the hotels and get the little shampoo and everybody is doing their part to create that. And so it's kind of neat when you see the hygiene package. You see all the different things that are going into the shampoos and dentifrice, the toothbrushes, and we all came from different places and have a different story in itself of how it was achieved and gotten. And during the process of planning stand downs, I get all the different emails, right? All the different communications, and you start seeing all of those pieces starting to come together. And then when you get to like August, it's like, oh, it's amazing. But it takes everybody. Even the little ladies in the community doing it. You know, and we have other groups that go through with that little community things, and that's their part of contributing. And if we were to say, no, we don't want that, then what are we doing? That's not fair either. They want to be part of it, and we welcome that in the community. And so, scarves, and then, you know, the veterans love it. They love that stuff. That's one of the hot items that's gone in 45 minutes, right? And then Patty?
Hi, everyone. Hello. Patricia Bernardo. I go by Patty. This is Patty. I'm a proud veteran, still proudly serving since 2008, which is math. I love Antioch. I actually met JR through Diane Ferguson. We called her den mother at LNC. I was the treasurer, affairs, the president for the Veterans Club at the Veterans Resource Center. And we participated in helping fundraise and recruit for the stand down in the past, like 2015. I've cooked side by side with Phil. We made tacos in the past. So I'm excited to what I can bring here. I will be working with Shikufa with outreach and visual communication. I am an intelligence analyst and a graphic designer for the Army. So I'm going to contribute that.
I am.
Here. Girl. But yeah, so any infographics to get out to the community is to make information clear and accessible is what I hope to bring. I know.
Neither.
I have friends that do that.
But no, and Nick Tice love it. You know, obviously LMC did not have a veterans
We
resource.
did not.
And Diane over there worked very, very hard to get that. And then worked with freedom.
He's not. He's obviously all the way to Sacramento.
Yes.
Twice.
I actually spoke before Congress. And that year, we were awarded funding, and all the community colleges were given a yearly stipend. I unfortunately don't know the status of our resource centers anymore since I retired, but the club went with me to Sacramento to lobby and spoke to the representatives, and it was a long, hard road, but we did it.
So again, as we went around the room, we noticed that everybody looked different, everybody sounded different, everybody's from different groups and corners of our community and different things like that. That is the only way that we are going to be successful. Dr. James over there, he is our legal coordinator and also past state commander for the American Legion, and past commander for this American Legion as well. Sits on a variety of different national committees with the American Legion, and with any luck, he will be on the national line to become the, he's like, you do not curse me. You know. But we are very excited to have Audrey, and of course, you know, he is a retired assistant TA out of County. And he did the legal services for the East Bay stand down as well as our stand down as well. So our legal coordinator with that, And, we'll have Veterans Court with Alameda and veterans that he's working with Contra Costa County to be able to do that. And then also he is spearheading a first responders, a veterans first responders march that's going to be at the end of the school society. Probably the middle of March. Where we'll be recognizing police officers, fire department, as well as and then after the lunch, and then I think we're going to have a blessing, we'll have a minister out there, a priest do a blessing, blessing. So look forward to that. Also, if you're online, please go to your chat. Is it still in there, the 2 documents that I put in there? I know we had to log off and get back on. But February 18th and February 19th. That is a Saturday and a Sunday. Not this Saturday and Sunday, but the next Saturday and Sunday. It is a free event at the Antioch VFW, which includes Veterans Information Seminar, there'll be services, housing services, employment services. We'll have a couple elected officials out there. Tim Casey's office will be out there. Diane Burgess's office will be out there as well. You do not need to be a veteran to participate. That means that if you have a child that doesn't have dental, they can get dental. This is, again, to go back to the veteran serve their country, veteran serve their community. That's what we do, right? If you have an organization that would like to table the event, it is free. It's absolutely free. So please let me know, and we'll set aside a table for you, and you can table it. Most organizations are going to be tabling on Saturday, but not Saturday and Sunday, but just Saturday. But certainly welcome you to be there on Sunday as well. Any organization is welcome. The new organization do it. The more organizations we have at this event, the better our stand downs are. Because they go back and they talk about the event, right? So we need to be them. If anybody has an organization and they're looking for speakers, if they have a meeting, they want to have a speaker. If you haven't figured out, I like to talk. I know. I like to talk. You can blame We Care preschool. It's on the other side of Cooker Pass. That's where I went to preschool, and I had a speech account. So they taught me how to talk. Right? So my dad's been mad at We Care ever since then. But quite literally, they taught me how to talk. And stuff. So I blame them for that enjoyment of talking. If I got through a whole sentence without stuttering, I got a spoonful of peanut butter. So I eat peanut butter all the time. So I love it. So we're looking forward to that event. Again, you can go online to deltaveteransgroup.org and you can get the flyer for that as well. If you can't find it online, email me. Does everybody have my email address? Gerald with a G, Gerald, G-E-R-A-L-D. The last name Wilson, 1971 at gmail.com. What does 1971 mean?
It's a great year.
Is it? Yes. Well, you know that. You know it. I, of course, was born in 1991. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
But Gerald Wilson, 1971. And if you can't find the flyer, I will send it to you. Also, print off the dates of our meetings. This is the first Tuesday of the month. March will be the first Tuesday of the month. And then we go back to the second Tuesday of the month. Reason why we didn't do the second Tuesday of February is because why?
Valentine's Day and your wife would shoot you.
Yes. 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 Valentine's Day. And so we want to be able to recognize Valentine's Day. And then in March, it's St. Patty's Day, right? So I know Jim's a big Irish guy. You know, he dressed as a leprechaun.
Exactly. On the 18th and 19th, can you do a Facebook post with the flyer? A post? Sure.
Yes, if you go to deltaveteransgroup.org, you will find that flyer on there.
Can you share it on Facebook?
Yes,
So you can tell it.
yes. Well, you can't
I don't know.
share. Yeah, that's not.
download the flyer.
Oh,
I think I could send it.
You can screenshot it.
Screenshot and share. You should have to do that.
I know how to share the post when I'm in Facebook.
Yes.
And not create.
No, we already created.
I know, so if you send it out, then I'll
Yes.
just resend it.
Yes,
I'll just
we
share
just
it.
go to the page to share.
Bam.
It is, no, it's just a picture of me taking it. I have the ability to upload a better copy, so I'm gonna be uploading a better copy.
Gotta call it Jeremy, right?
For dental, in Jeremy. So if they want dental, you have to have an appointment for dental. That is on that flyer. Tim Jeremy's contact information is on there. Let's flood him with tons of appointments. This is how we keep here in California coming out here too. If they come out and only see 2 people, kind of hard to ask them to come up and do services. And they have done a wonderful thing with our services. Okay, so anybody else have any questions? Everybody is aware of why we passed this out right here. This is, if you scan it with your phone, you can download the DAV California app that allows you to keep track of your hours. And here's the thing, it also allows me to keep track of your hours. So after stand down, not only do I get to say 823 volunteers participated, and we had 400 veterans around the county participate, I also get to say 25,000 training hours went into this. Okay? So we're very excited about being able to do that. And then also, you know, if you keep in track of your hours and you reach milestones like 50 volunteer hours, then the DAV National Organization will recognize you for that. This is a great way to get youth involved too, because what happens, Velma, when they reach 100 hours?
Open up the floodgates for other opportunities, scholarships, especially for our high school. Huge opportunities.
Yes. Because not only do they get to say on their college transcripts that, hey, I volunteered and this is how many hours, but when they use the TAV app, their volunteer hours count up and accumulate. When they reach 100 hours, they're then eligible for the Jesse Brown Scholarship, the Jesse Brown Scholarship, which is an absolutely awesome scholarship that the DAV provides every year to 3 students across the country. And they have to have 100 hours volunteer hours. So if they volunteer to create hygiene pads, that's an hour or 2 hours if they just log in, right? And it gets accumulated. And then they put in for their college transcript. That's how many hours they have. So it's a wonderful way to tie in the youth to what we do and serving our community, and then also recognize them. They want to have veterans come in and talk to their class. Well, that class had to prepare for that veteran to come in, so why don't we give everybody in that class 4 hours of, they're going to be asking us questions, right? Let's get them started. That's a good way to get them volunteering, and then be able to say, hey, thank you very much. And if we're older people, we don't need that, but it's nice to be able to let a kid know that they did the right thing. So you can scan that in there. It'll ask permissions and different things like that, and then it sends me your account information. No, it's not. You could send me that. So realistically, so next meeting, we will have the breakout rooms, coordinators, if you're in the room, that means that you're going to need to get here a little bit earlier than 5:30. So one, we know that you're here. Then Mary can label the breakout room for you. Some of the things I think we might do, though, Bill, is for your room, not only the kitchen, but because we only have a limited amount of rooms, is everything that goes on in the building. And we have 3. And then we limit it down to 6 rooms. But it is kind of exciting. Megan, did you have anything that you wanted to say, Megan Diamond?
I love to speak also. But of course, I just wanted to introduce myself and say thank you for having me again. I'm Megan Diamond. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. I'm an Army veteran and come from a family of Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, and Coast Guard. You know, I don't even know how far back. I haven't looked back to see, but I had an aunt who served as a nurse in Vietnam, and she actually committed suicide about 4 years after she came back to the world. And I never understood that. And then I'm an Army veteran, and I'm also a survivor of MST and PTS and PTSD challenges. And over the last few years, I've had finally working through my stuff, just had all kinds of health issues come up. And I've had this vision of taking all of this wisdom that is born of all of this, and my desire to really learn from it and make something good out of it. You know, stir up a few kegs of lemonade, as it were. And so as my health and physical fitness is coming back, and by the way, I first got involved in Stand Down for the first year, 2015. So thank you, JR, for inviting me in then. And but as I have been evolving and healing, I've had this vision to be of service to especially female veterans. And as a coach, as someone who can encourage them and help them keep connecting the dots and connecting with those things that will empower them, help them heal, help them thrive. And to that end, I am volunteering to be a a tent leader and to work with the women. And I also really want to see, further follow up. So I'm willing to do that with the women for 6 months to a year afterwards, and just connect with them, touch in once in a while, and support them and encourage them at whatever level they're open to. And that will help me in my development as a coach, but also hopefully help them retain a connection with somebody who's been there, done that. I actually was homeless on and off, more on, for a period of 5 years. And when I was going through the worst of my medical stuff. So I kind of wore out family and friends and lived in shelters when I wasn't in the hospital. So I can bring some been there, done that sort of wisdom, some street sense, and encouragement to the party. And I'd like to continue to serve and grow my service in that regard. So thank you again for having me, and let's carry on, huh?
Awesome. Thank you, Megan.
Megan, thank you for sharing that. That was awesome.
You're
And that's
welcome.
another cool part of it too, right? We take our struggles that we have in our life and make that a passion, and then we're able to help others get through that same barriers that we went through, right? And so that's absolutely Megan. You know, that's what we're doing. That's what we're here for, right? That's what we do.
Yeah.
So does anybody else have any questions, any concerns they'd like to raise? We have the volunteer registration that's going to come up in April. that's only towards the middle to the end of April. Volunteer registration opens up towards the end of May, right around Memorial Day is kind of when we open that up for that.
For the veterans.
For veterans. The reason why we wait to open up veteran registration is because it's a transient population, right? So they may be here for 4 months and then gone. So we try to keep that under control. So at the end of May, so June, July, August, we're pushing registration. Again, we may get 600 people register for stand down. That just means we're going to have 300 to 350 people actually show up. Okay. So in the middle of, towards the end of July, I look down and I see 100 people ready. I go, oh my God. But then I realize, you know what? They all sign up. They start signing up in August. And it'll go from 200 to 600 in the span of 3 weeks. It just gets crazy. The stand down is advertised on all the VA's website, all the government websites as well. So we'll get people from Southern California that come up and attend. And sometimes they come up and yes, they're there for the free boots and the shoes, right? But remember, we take ourselves out of the equation so we don't let ourselves get all concentrated and angry. Oh, no judgment. You know, as I'm taking a veteran out to the car in the golf cart and we pull up to the Mercedes with the nice beautiful rims on it and everything, and I just heard from them like, oh, I did my legal services, now I have my hip just popped out, I gotta go with all my free stuff, right? And you pull them up to the Mercedes and they're asking for a gas card, and it's like they don't get it yet. They're not there for the right purposes, right? But if they come up there and they get their free stuff and they stay and they become part of the community, I don't mind them because they're part of that community. So they're attending the bonfires and they're talking this and that, and you know, we have a PG-13 bonfire, and then we have, you know, the other bonfire, right? And so that's where they do their bonding. Yeah. But we ask everybody to be respectful and different things like that. I will tell you some of the craziest stories come from ladies, man. Listen to their bonfires. You think that guys get out of boy, you know, fly on the wall for a minute. You'd be quite surprised. So, but that's their bonding. That's what we did in the military, right? You go out to the field, you're talking about your life story, and wow, you find out, oh my gosh, we're actually brothers and sisters, you know, and weird stuff. So it's wonderful. We're excited about it. If there is nothing else, then again, I will wrap it up. Our next meeting is March 7th. Coordinators at 5:30, open meeting at 6:30. For the DVG board members, we are going to start probably tying the DVG board meeting into this meeting as well. That will free up the days. Cool. Never push it out to your different communities. Please, if you need a flyer, let me know. And we'll do that. Direct everybody to the website, Delta Veterans Group. What's the last part of Delta Veterans Group? .org, right? Not .com, but .org. We're not profit. DeltaVeteransGroup.org. Not only can they get information on the meetings, but they can also do what? Donate money. See, it totally came out. You could totally donate money there. And then you do that through PayPal. And I know PayPal takes a percentage of it. I get it. I totally get it. Yes. We could do the nonprofit part. Right? We have to. Yes. Okay. So we're working through pay because that's what Jim's talking about. No, they don't. If they're nonprofit, they don't take the percentage out, but we have to be recognized by PayPal as a nonprofit. So we got to do that. Also, Zoom does the same thing, that we may get waived the fees on Zoom. So I believe,
He set up Venmo too.
yes, who was, Tracy Somersville is working with Zoom to give us that. Chapter 154. If you're online doing the BAV California app, it is the chapter is 154. That is the local chapter. That BAV chapter is in Pittsburgh. And that's the one that we give those hours to, but it also allows me to. Right? We do have a new DAV chapter in Concord. That's the chapter 158. Their first meeting is on the 18th. Anybody know why we have a chapter in Concord? It's by record, but that's where I was born. That's where I was born. So we haven't had a new chapter in the state of California in probably 40 years, 30 years. And DAV does it a little bit different than the American Legion. The American Legion has a post here in Antioch. They have one in Pittsburgh. They have one in Brentwood. The DAV, there's supposed to be 100 miles distance between the two chapters. Obviously, Pittsburgh and Concord, not 100 miles. So I would tell you, because I was born there. We made Willow Pass as a natural barrier. There has to be some landmass. Willow Pass is a natural barrier. Many of us on this side of the county don't really want to go to Central because of the traffic. So, but for this, we do chapter 154. And again, that allows me to count how many hours that we are putting into it. So, chapter 154, it's direct aid to a veteran. It's stand down on the Delta planning meeting. And then your name, and you should be good to go. All right. I'm just paying attention. So, the other thing too, I want to, hey, if you're in around Rayleigh's and Antioch on Lone Tree, go ahead and stop into the Rivertown Veterans Thrift Store and say hello. They do a lot of good stuff for us in the community as well. They have a food bank, and they get it. They get veterans serve their community. So we want to let you know that. So there, we trust them. They do good stuff in our community. And they're good people. And they're, yes.
Drop off your used eyeglasses there. We have a flyer that says mailbox there.
But as I can tell you, I've been in the veterans community as a server and stuff since 1997, and I've sat on different thrift store committees. Not every thrift store is legit. You may know some of that. A little bit. No way, but you know, whenever somebody is making money off of the veterans community, we have to look at it with that kind of a prism. And they certainly are out there for the veterans and out for our community. So Rivertown Veterans Thrift Store, it's where the Rayleigh's is, 3646 Lone Tree Way. Stop in and
Just to plug for Brenda that she has a food bank in there for veterans, and there's outfits, like if they need like a shirt, interview outfit, I just donated a bunch of clothes for plus size women, which I don't think they, since I retired, I gave all my work clothes to Brenda, put up in there. So he has that service there too.
yeah, look good, feel good, play good, right? Gotta look the part, do the part. And so that's kind of key. So if we don't have anything else, we'll go ahead and close it and see
I got one
everybody.
thing.
Yes, Ruben.
Will you both top off your coffee? I don't want to take it home.
Yes.
Okay. Oh, yeah, you got it.
I can't see her. I mean, I'll show you, but here's Max. Yeah. And I have she right there. And she's in this spot. Oh my God. Oh, I get to see her Thursday because they live. She lived in Tracy. Not so far. That's all I need. Or whatever. So he would know. It's not like I said. Yeah. Say the records on roof. I would like to have something more about the teacher.
In each of these boxes, there's a little pouch that they go in.
Oh.
The records that they go see. We'll get you all. Email it.
And then. Yes, I will. Because I have your number, I have your. Yeah.
All right, I gotta roll.
FYI, that's.
Good to go.
So, but I, you know, I definitely want to. Yeah, so it's a lot of.